All right, welcome back to round 2 of Illustrious Cards and Games One Piece Thursday Night Locals. I'm Xeminan, casting this VOD for you here. If you enjoy One Piece and if you enjoy watching the streams, hopefully you'll enjoy this matchup. Round 2, technically it says 1 on screen, but this is round 2 for Dan Hill versus Gene. It is a black matchup with Rob Lucci versus Smoker. So Gene went second, just played the brand new, looked for his top 3 cards. Had to trash a Gecko as well as a Hina. The Hina you're okay with because of Rebecca, but trashing a Gecko Moria on turn 1 could be pretty rough for him. Deciding on his 3 Don turn to bring down brand new by 1 with the Lucci swing, which Gene took, and then playing the Brook that lowers your cost by 1 on play and when attacking, and then KO a 0 cost. So brand new got KO'd on that turn. Now Lucci has a attacker on the board. Gene's going to play the Rebecca to get the Sengoku Searcher on his side. At least has a blocker this turn in case Daniel wants to go at life. Rebecca's going to be able to block that hit, and he can stay at 5 life if he so chooses, or you could also just take the hits and take the life, gain a card in hand. The other question about that, though, is if you leave Rebecca on the field for long enough, Rob Lucci will find a way to KO it. So swinging 5 at life with -1 towards the Rebecca. Now that Rebecca is a 3 cost, you see if there's a way for him to get Rebecca down to 1, then Brooke can swing and just pop Rebecca, bringing her to 0. Looks like he is at potentially 5 or 6 cards. Daniel is at 5 or 6 cards in the trash, so he's nowhere near 10 yet, but he will actually be pretty close after playing this Sabo. Draw 2, trash 2 from your hand, and he trashes a Rob Lucci and a Sabo. Now you have Lucci in the discard. You have a Helmeppo in the discard. You have a Rebecca as well. Gene's just going to play Tashigi. Gene's been crushing it with Smoker for the last couple of weeks. Seems like he always gets Tashigi right at the right turn to KO something important. So Tashigi only works in the Smoker deck. The turn you play, you can give something -4 and then trash a 0 cost, which is with the work from Smoker's leader ability as well. Brought him down to a 0. Got the KO on to Sabo. So Daniel does not get to block with his Sabo at all. Lucci's just going to swing 5 into leader, into Smoker. Does get 2 more cards in trash, so he definitely has over 10 cards in trash right now if he ever wants to play a Tempest Kick, which we do see Daniel has a Tempest Kick in his hand currently. Gene does take that 5K swing and will lose the Rebecca as Daniel taps all of his Don to play Jack, tapping, resting Jack, draw a card, KO one of your opponent's 3 costs or less. So Jack is a phenomenal card. And it's also Activate Main, which is really going to help in the future against those Blackbeard decks that stop on play effects. But he does get to get rid of Rebecca before Rebecca got to block anything. So a little unfortunate for Gene. But if he has a Gecko in hand, he can play it and get the Rebecca back potentially. Looking at his 8 Don that he has Tashigi on the field. Sengoku's not an attacker really, so just kind of wasting a slot there for now until it can get replaced. Smoker will swing 5 at life into Lucci, and Daniel decides to take that hit, going down to 3 life. So Gene does have the life advantage right now, 4-3 in this black matchup. Has a lot of Don, still hasn't attached anything. Looks like it's going to be 7. Looks like it's going to be 7 into life, because it's too low to hit the Jack. It's going to cost the Finger Pistol and another card, 0-3, and then swinging or getting the KO into the Brook on the other side. So really good play by Gene to play his own Jack, KO Brook inherently as a 3 cost. He was able to take a life as well as KO body on Lucci's board. So I'd say overall very successful turn for Gene there. Now on his 9 Don turn, Daniel, using Tempest Kick, will draw a card and give something -3. So he's going to give it to Jack. This is important because Jack inherently has a +4 cost. Just by being on the field, he's an 11 cost. So this brings Jack down to an 8 cost right now. How many more Tempest Kicks or Ice Ages potentially does Daniel have? If he has an Ice Age, there's the Ice Age in hand. That's going to bring Jack down to a 3 cost because 3 from Tempest Kick, 5 from Ice Age, and Jack on Daniel's end gonna get the KO into Gene's side. You don't often see Jack get KO'd by cost effects because he has that +4 cost inherent to the character. But a great turn from Daniel to only actually use 2 Don to make that turn happen. Just a Tempest Kick and an Ice Age, leaving 8 Don remaining for Daniel to play potentially a Gecko into, Home Epo Lucci or something. I think if you do that, you can KO. You can KO both of his characters. So if he attaches Don in this spot, I think that would reveal to Gene that he doesn't have a Gecko in hand. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. So Lucci will swing 8 into Tashigi, into 8K into 6K. So it would have cost 2 cards. Gene doesn't think it is worth it. And smartly, with his last 4 Don remaining, will play Rebecca. Rebecca gets Brooke out of the trash, KOs Zen Goku. So an absolutely phenomenal turn from Daniel here, KOing the Jack on Gene's end, getting rid of the Tashigi as well, getting rid of his only other body on Smoker's end, and gaining a blocker in Rebecca. Perfectly done from Daniel, playing this Rob Lucci very, very effectively in this black matchup, which could definitely be difficult depending on who gets the upper hand, right? These decks are both capable of knocking each other out every turn, essentially just KOing each other without actually having to swing into them. So Tashigi does the same thing, bring it down -4, as well as an Ice Age -5. So Jack losing a lot of costs essentially in this turn. And if he has access to another Jack, or even just the Brook, seeing a Brook KO Jack is something that you do not see happen very often in this game, as Brook only brought him down on play by 1 cost. So great job by Tashigi and Ice Age. To that combination, back-to-back turns, we've seen a Jack KO'd from their 11 cost original play all the way down to KO range. Means these players are, very smart, understand their decks very well and how to hit those ranges they want. It's going to be a 5K swing into life, but it will bring Tashigi down 1 cost with the Brook swing there. He does take it. Now both players are at 3 life. Rob Lucci will swing 6 into Brook, into life, but brings the -1 cost to Brook. And then it's going to be Gecko Moria, so that will make Brook the 2 cost. Rebecca Helmeppo is going to do -3 to Shigi, making her a 1 cost. So Rebecca, Helmeppo, Spandine, Rob Lucci. Rob Lucci, once Helmeppo made Tashigi a 1 cost, Rob Lucci's on play. Return 3 cards from your hand, from your trash to the bottom of your deck, and KO a 2 cost and a 1 cost. Brook is a 2 cost. Tashigi is a 1 cost. So perfectly done by Daniel here, doing the entire Gecko Moria, Helmeppo, Rob Lucci, Spandine, and Lucci combination. He also overrides Spandine yet again next turn, or on this turn, just in case he needs to do the Rebecca Spandine Lucci combo again on a future turn. I was thinking, is there a way which card was more valuable to have in the trash? Is it the Helmeppo or is it the Spandine? And I guess it is the Spandine, because you also have Surus that you can play out of trash to give -2 costs, or you don't need Helmeppo necessarily for the -3. So smart play by him. Going to be the KO onto Gecko Moria, bringing his cost down low enough for Jack to KO it. Now Smoker only has 2, or Gene only has 2 Don remaining on this turn. So he can swing 7 into whoever he wants, and it will be the Brook Rebecca decides to block that hit, which makes me think Daniel has a reason for Rebecca to go into the trash this turn. Has a way to get her back potentially. It's going to be 1 from the Searcher, gaining a 2K in hand, gaining a Khalifa off of the Spandam Searcher. 5 cards in hand, or is it 4? I think it might be 4 cards in hand. We know he has an Ice Age and a Khalifa, so he has some cost reduction, but does he have 11 cost reduction? That's where I would be skeptical. It's very hard back-to-back turns to bring an 11 cost down to 0 for Brooke to get the KO, so I don't know if that's going to happen here. It's going to be a 5K swing into Smoker, minusing 1 onto Jack, so Jack is now a 10 cost. What does he have available here? He might also just go for game, depending on how many cards Gene has. And that is what it is. Helmeppo is going to swing. He's going to swing 6 at life. Gene looking, do I give a 2K? Do I take this life? I think I would give a 2K if I have it, but he doesn't, so maybe he doesn't have access to a 2K. And now Rob Lucci swinging 7 at life with 1 life remaining for Gene. He's going to need to give a 2K and a 1K. That's what he does, Suru and Brooke. Now 8K into life, and Lucci is going to have that hit go through, so Gene in a tough spot with only 1 character on board in Jack and his Smoker leader. There's no rush in black, right? So you're not going to be able to try to win the game this turn. He has to clear the board. Gene has to use his swings this turn and his Don to clear the board. And the only thing left, you'd also need a blocker too, since you're on 0 life. Next turn, even if you clear Daniel's entire board, if Gene does not get a blocker on the board here, then Lucci, you can just attach 10 Don and swing 15K into life and get the win. So, really difficult decision for Gene here on this turn. What does he go for? He can activate Smoker's effect, swing 7 into Lucci. He does have the 2Ks. There's 2 Khalifas in Daniel's hand. So, I think I'd probably give a 2K just to force another swing into Lucci. And then you don't mind having Rob Lucci in your trash anyway, right? Gonna look at look at Gene's trash here to see what he has. Okay, he's got a Rebecca, he's got Hina, he has Brooke, he has Suru as well. So there are a lot of cost reduction things in Gene's trash, that Daniel has to worry about. He does give the 2K on Suru, which means he has a lot of 2Ks in hand right now, can keep his characters pretty healthy. Besides this Gecko Moria is going to play Rebecca, obviously, so Gene gets a blocker on his end since he's on 0 life. But what will the other card be from this Gecko Moria play? Is it going to be a brand new to look for another card? Is it going to be a Suru to give something a minus cost? Really tough decision for Gene, as he's also spent all his Don this turn. So the only thing he has left is activating Jack. Would be tapping Jack to gain a card, trash card, and then KO a 3 cost. So you could also just swing Jack into Lucci if you want to. It will be the brand new, as I was expecting. So look at the top 3 cards. Gains Shigi there. We'll have another counter card in hand, but the question is how much. And then Rebecca placed the Sengoku out of hand, or unless I'm misreading, yes. So decides to swing Jack into Rob Lucci, 8 into 6. Dano will take that play, and now he will pass with 1 blocker up in this spot. Rebecca can only stop 1 swing. Dano has potentially 5 of them, albeit they are very small swings. So he's always going to Ice Age the Rebecca, making her a 0 cost if he has any type of KO card in hand. Oh, and then that's just attaching everything to Brooke, killing Rebecca on the swing. But then Gene gets out of the swing, gets out of the attack with all the cards in his hand, gets out of another attack, but not the last one, as it was just a Kuzan remaining in Gene's hand. He almost pulled it out, but a great job by Daniel to preserve his last Ice Age for the Rebecca, and the Ice Age Brooke combo just killing the blocker and taking the win over Smoker and over Gene. Great job Rob Lucci 2-0 here at our Thursday Night Locals. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoy watching the One Piece commentary VODs, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back with more rounds from our One Piece local Thursday night events.